Hello and welcome back to week 2 of the APUSH Summer Boot Camp. So what I'm going to go through in this quick video is our goals for the week, the tasks that you need to complete. I'm going to preview the content that you're going to read and introduce our theme that you should be paying attention to while you're reading, and then just give you the weekly reminders. So to start, we have a few more goals this week as we are digging a bit more into the content. So we want to explain the causes of exploration and conquest of the New World by various European nations, explain the causes of the Columbian Exchange and its effect on Europe and the Americas during the period after 1492, and explain how the growth of the Spanish Empire in North America shaped the development of social and economic structures over time. So as you can see, we are really digging into the European exploration, specifically the Spanish involvement in the Americas. And then we're also really looking at the scale of causation. So what are causes, and then what are the effects? And then last, we want to understand the structure of the short answer question this week. So your tasks for this week are to continue your readings. So we're going to continue with our AMSCO reading, pages 5 through 8, and then you will complete the FBI notes on that reading. And then you're going to read Taylor chapters 2 through 3. You can also read chapter 4 if you want to, but that's more supplemental. And then you'll complete your postings on Padlet. The initial post by Wednesday, and then the replies by Saturday. And then your summary of the objectives, C through E. And then one more thing that I would like you to do before Wednesday is to view the how to write the SAQ video. So I'm going to take a few minutes to just preview the content that you're going to be going through this week, since it is a bit more than last week. So there's 3 major topics that you're going to be looking at: European exploration, the Columbian Exchange, and Spanish conquest. So what you really want to pay attention to with European exploration is what led to this age of exploration. So think about the political and religious developments that were happening. There were some wars, there was the Black Death, there was religious conflict between not only Christian groups, but other religions as well. There were economic motivations, scientific innovations. You want to be able to actually list and describe what allowed for these voyages across the Atlantic Ocean to actually take place. All right, so that's your first topic. So the second topic that you are going to be looking at is the Columbian Exchange. And this is what we call, or what I like to call, a VIT, a very important term. And so what really this means is that in your APUSH curriculum, there are some people and places and events that are specifically mentioned. And anything that is specifically mentioned means that you need to know it really in depth. Other things are more of a development or a vague reference. So for example, a few presidents are explicitly mentioned, like Abraham Lincoln and George Washington. They are explicitly mentioned, which means you need to know more about them than other presidents that aren't mentioned at all, like Garfield. So the Columbian Exchange is one of the first terms that you really need to know in depth. So you want to be able to define it and be able to explain the causes and effects, and be able to identify how those effects are different in the different hemispheres. So there was a generally positive impact in Europe. With these new crops being sent overseas back to Europe, they were able to improve their diet and increase their lifespans, and their populations ended up living longer and were more healthy. On the other hand, there was a devastating impact of the Columbian Exchange on the Americas because of the spread of disease. So then your third topic that you're really going to dive into is the Spanish conquest of the American Southwest and the present day area we know as Mexico. So how did the Spanish Empire change life in the Americas? That's really the question you want to be able to answer. So another important term that comes up is the encomienda systems. You want to know how that really created a system of slavery for American Indians. And then also involved in the Spanish conquest is the development of a transatlantic slave trade. And then finally, a new caste system, which is another important term, developed with very strict classifications on groups of people based on their ethnicity. And that allowed for them to have certain privileges or not. And we do see new ethnic groups emerging as we have our populations mixing. So if you want more on this information, obviously do your readings and then continue to go to my YouTube channel, and I have 4 videos to go through this for you if you would like additional explanation. All right, so lastly here, I'm going to go through our next theme of the curriculum, and this is called social structures. So this is focusing on how and why systems of social organization develop and change, as well as the impact that these systems have on the broader society. Social categories, roles, and practices are created, maintained, challenged, and transformed throughout American history, shaping government policy, economic systems, culture, and the lives of citizens. So these are the lessons throughout the year that will specifically focus on this theme. You can see, as compared to last week, there's many more lessons on this. In fact, there's about double. So we have 13 lessons specifically focused on these social structures. And as you read through them, you can see it's a pretty wide variety of topics. So some of the questions you want to ask yourself while trying to understand this theme is, how did caste systems develop and change? And then once they have these caste systems, how do groups respond to those positions in American society? Specifically looking at the roles of resistance and rebellions, how those played a part in American society. That kind of feeds into our next theme or next question. How did challenges to the status quo in economics and politics impact the United States? In what ways did the contributions of various groups lead to improvements in their positions in American society? And in what ways did groups achieve an expansion of individual rights? So you can be looking at this theme as mostly a broad societal level, but understanding the contributions of individuals and how that played a larger role in the rights of groups is also an important aspect to this theme. So finally, just some reminders. Please complete your initial posts on Padlet by Wednesday and your replies by Saturday. Add to your FPI notes number 3 and then numbers 4A through C. Add to your period 1 objectives, C through E, and then watch the SAQ video. All of these are found linked on your Google Classroom. And as always, please reach out if you have any questions. I am here for you, and I look forward to our next session on Wednesday.